It's that time again. Train Sim World 3 Roadmap May update. As usual, I read this to you to improve the accessibility of the roadmap for those who can't read it, or perhaps just don't want to or don't have the time. And I'll read through it for you, skipping all of the boring bits and getting into the meaty bits and add my own commentary as per usual. Let's start the month in review, March and April review. Before we get into May's content, we thought it was important to kick off by reviewing what has been a busy last couple of months with some real high points, as well as some areas we'd like to improve moving forward. Some releases have been really well received, while some have not hit the consistency bar that we expect. We are a business, and our staff rely on us to support them, whilst you in return rely on us to be able to have an enjoyable experience within our games. It's a tough balance sometimes, and sometimes we get it right, and sometimes we don't. We endeavour to provide the best experiences we can, and that's what we'll continue to do. We won't get it right all the time, but we'll work our hardest to bring you value for your time and money. We'll discuss some of these ideas in future roadmaps, but here are a few things we'll be implementing in the near future to improve our offerings in the long term. A standardized list of features for all first-party and third-party content, with renewed focus from our QA team on ensuring these features are included before a project is signed off. A focus on squeezing as much gameplay from the content as we're able to. Reviewing and expanding our beta communities. Expanding our production team to provide more focus and rigor on add-on development. Building an internal focus group dedicated to Train Sim World players to better inform our plans moving forward. After Peak Forest release on May the 9th and Spirit of Steam patch, which updates Steam physics and fixes the AI SPAD issue, we have a break in content for a little while, giving us an opportunity to review our catalogue and improve areas we have the capability and resources we can do. We'll be focusing on releasing post-release improvements to Link Rhinestrecker, Nidalee-Saban, Bremen Oldenburg, and Midland Mainline, getting the HST livery designer released with a Great Western Express patch. A partner program release featuring the first selection of Midland Mainline improvements, as well as assorted improvements to the 1938 Tube Stock, Island Line, West Cornwall Local, and Arosa Lily. Improving and testing add-ons manager in preparation for Xbox and PC platform release. As a quick note, not all of this stuff might release before the next roadmap update, but preparation work will be done to try and ensure it's out as soon as possible after. The team will also be working on bolstering the Northeast Corridor New York-Trenton timetable, more on this below, with Joe and the team working hard at improving the gameplay opportunities on the route, as well as reviewing the Peninsula Corridor Missing Baby Bullet services and the outstanding Train Sim World 2 patch. We announced last month that to celebrate our new owners, Focus Entertainment, we'd be making our French DLC free in May. We are planning that players will be able to download LGV Mediterranee Marseille Avignon for free between May 26th and June 2nd on all platforms. We are waiting for confirmation from Microsoft, but if there are any changes, we'll let you know closer to the time. More information will be available closer to the time, but this will be a permanent addition to your libraries after you have downloaded it during this week period. So you must download it that week, but you get to keep it. And there's a picture of the SNCF LGVs in the morning sun. As a final note, we hear your calls for more communication around development. That's why we're going to pilot a new monthly video, a roadmap branch line if you will, which will aim to provide a little more detail on some of the things we're working on. Keep your eyes peeled later this month. Onwards to the roadmap. Upcoming content is the subject. Additions to the roadmap: Glossop Line, Manchester, Hadfield, and Glossop. More information will be shared in the coming weeks, but we're delighted to announce that the new British route will be the Glossop Line. For now, here's a route map and a sneak peek at Dinting Station. So we've got a route map 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 stations, and they are Manchester Piccadilly, Ardwick, Ardwick Depot, Ashburys, Gorton, Fairfield, Guide Bridge sidings, Hyde North, Romilly Line, Flowery Field, Newton for Hyde, Godley, Hattersley, Broad Bottom, Dinting, Glossop, and Hadfield. I don't know the Glossop line myself, but 17 stopping places doesn't seem too bad to me, and it looks like it's going to be a passenger route. Looks like it's electrified. And it still looks slightly oldish, so 70s, 80s, Could be 90s, I guess. Depends how much they've updated and whether the buildings are heritage listed or not. But anyway, looks interesting. Actually, I can see the station sign in the background. That sort of dates it. So it's a bit newer because it's got the blue signs. All right then, let's wait and see. Featuring the Northern Class 323 updated appropriately. For the first time, Northern have featured within Train Sim World. This is a fantastic self-contained and fully complete route travelling into a modern-day Manchester, arriving into a different terminus in Northern Transpennine. Well, there you go. It's a modern route. See, blue signs, new. Formerly part of the Woodhead line before it closed in the BR era, it also features again, for the first time in Train Sim World, a unique operation with a triangle junction, where you change track ends at Glossop to head to Hatfield. For those who want to take the 323 on a spin up north who haven't yet experienced it in Birmingham Cross City, this will be right up your track. Go. We'll share more, including lovely screenshots and videos closer to release. Now, I dare say that's going to open the door to all those people going, "It's not a new loco." But anyway, it's a new route and a different paint job, so enjoy. Take it for what it is. A German loco. We've added a German loco to the roadmap, and more details will be available in the future as we move closer to release. Okay. NEC New York Trenton updated timetable. We've heard your feedback loud and clear. You want more services. We underestimated the complexities of the signalling systems within the route, and this led us to be able to spend less time than we'd have liked on the timetable. So whilst the team have been beavering away in the background working on this, we wanted work to have progressed to a certain point before sharing it with you and putting it on the roadmap. We spoke to Joe about the work that's been undertaken so far. This timetable is based on the real New Jersey timetable and Amtrak timetable of 2019. I have also been lucky to access the diagrams of NJT that detail which train equipment does each group's services. This level of detail is like the 387 and 395 timetables on BML and Southeastern High Speed, albeit we do not have all the correct stock. If a train we don't have is running a service, it simply gets added as an ALP 46 plus MLs, multi-levels. Anyway, at release we had the full Amtrak timetable, including again services that we do not have correct coaches for. Acela trains will stop at Trenton for the sake of these being playable, otherwise more than half would just be between New York Penn and Newark. These also included virtual destinations to many places beyond Trenton and New York Penn, as well as named trains displayed in the PIS. For New Jersey Transit, we had approximately 120 services, not the full timetable, and most of which were led by the multiple-level cab car. This was a mix, but not all of the trains, 31XX, 32XX, 35XX, 37XX, 38XX, 39XX, and 6XXX. That's a big 6. All the deadheads to do Sunnyside Yard were playable, including any of the 6XXX, which gave it quite an unbalance between actual passenger services and Sunnyside Yard deadheads. For the timetable we're working on looks as of right now full Amtrak and Acela as with release. These services might be slightly different now with more delays, etc. due to the increased NJT traffic. Full electric New Jersey Transit timetable, see below, is now complete with a few late trains that are being fixed or simulated as I type this. Does not include the Arrow 3 Princeton Junction, Princeton AI or diesel equipment out of Newark Penn Hoboken, and no AI traffic at Secaucus Junction. Full electric timetable. This includes all the 31XX, 32, 35, 37, 38, 39, and 6XXX train numbers that are electric, as well as all Hoboken trains that use electric equipment. With all the above, this is now the largest US timetable in Train Sim World. The team are looking at support for additional AI traffic as well, but this work is not started at this stage. The additional AI traffic, I guess they're talking about LIRR, so LIRR is not in the timetable at this point. Spirit of Steam Improvements patch. To coincide with the release next week, we'll also be addressing some of your feedback for Liverpool Crew, coming in a pre-release patch update. We will aim for this to be released later this week. Some of the current leads subject to the thumbs up by our QA team, physics updates for the 8F and Jubilee introduction and really reliable rescue in the tables have turned scenario should now be completable. Derailments when coupling to wagons in Edge Hill should be fixed. Derailments when going up a steep bank near Edge Hill signal box should be fixed, added on the 27th of April. Oh, okay, so that was a bug that was introduced. Gold medal now achievable on bovine blockage scenario. Reduction in the volume of safety valves, that's the noise they make. AI locos causing SPADs. Fixed headlights not showing on AI Jubilees. Taillights is something we'll investigate later. Fixed scenario planner formations that loaded wagons don't face empty wagons. All of the physics improvements will be ported to both Spirit of Steam and West Cornwall Local Steam Rail Tour and be there on day 1 for Peak Forest for the Jubilee 8F and 4F. We're also currently investigating what causes firemen to intermittently vanish. We believe we have a fix, but it's a core game improvement. It'll require more rigorous testing before release. Note that manual firing is still in the process of being scoped out, so will not be part of this update. We're also investigating intermittent running sounds for AI locos, but it's unlikely these will come with this update. We also hope to get the promised loco add-on bundle improvements, including the new scenario for the German pack and changes to the US pack to update the trailer designs to be more prototypical of American trailers and adding more scenario planner formations using truck trailers and center beams out in this patch too. Full patch notes will be available on release. So there's quite a bit of change happening in there. I can tell you with the physics patches, it is better. Let's leave it there. So this is a picture of an SD70 ACE hauling flat cars with very American looking trailers on the back and looks like 2 per car. So it's mimicking the trailer train idea. They don't look like trailer train cars because they're more of a skeletal car, but it gives you the playability and it gives you the look. So a welcome addition from my point of view. Your views may vary. A little more detail on the Steam improvements. We've recalculated the valve gear events using the new engineering features available to us. Previously, the valve gear opened instantly. Now we track both the start of opening and the end of opening separately, same for closing. This changes the player performance quite dramatically. You get less steam through the valves as they are open less for most of their travel, particularly at low cutoff. This means you tend to drive with a higher cutoff percentage. What you could pull at 20% cutoff before, you might now need 30% to achieve. It also changes the drafting on the fire, particularly at low speeds. The steam flow is smoother and incurs over a longer time, meaning you can now achieve more sustained performance at low speeds. It was quite unrealistic before. I don't know if you all know, but I am involved with Steam as an engineman, and it wasn't awful, but it wasn't brilliant. So having to use a higher cutoff, I think, is appropriate, and making it work a little bit harder on hills maybe would be good. It was a little bit too easy before, let's put it that way. Peak Forest, Ambergate, Chinley and Buxton. Coming next Tuesday, 9th of May, our second Steam route comes to Train Sim World. A world apart from the industrial powerhouse of Liverpool Crew, Peak Forest offers a more scenic, tranquil opportunity to enjoy 1960s Derbyshire during the beginning of the steam era, using banking operations to negotiate inclines with extremely heavy locomotives. We asked Michael from our gameplay team to give you an insight into the world of banking, which is brand new to Train Sim World with this release. I almost said Tramp Sim World. Funny. But first, here's the 4F in action in our Peak Forest Loco walk-around video. Well, I can't play you that because I'll get a copyright strike, but anyway, you go find it. Banking in the Peak Forest. The role of bankers is to provide more power on steep inclines by being added to the rear of trains. We knew we wanted to implement banking operations early in development since it's necessary to allow heavy freight up the steep inclines on this route. Our implementation of it in-game is a close representation of how they would have done these operations back in the day. Drivers would have been given notice of when their train would require banking on the route before starting work. Once they have collected the limestone hoppers from Tunstead Quarry, represented by the 8F with loaded ICI hoppers, they wait to be assisted by another locomotive, represented by the 4F. There is a 4F heading for the back of a loaded train with what's probably an 8F up on the front, I assume. The banking locomotives would push from the rear of the train. We have it coupled to our formations to allow for information to be shared across the train. Once coupled, the driver of the 8F blows the whistle accordingly, notifying the driver of the 4F to release the brakes and begin the banking process. So, The coupled thing, I get it. It's necessary for the game. In real life, they would not couple up. They just push. And that's so that they can release at the top of the gradient and drift back down again. But I get that they have to couple it up in the game because the game needs that at this time. But I would love to see that changed in the future, that it just pushes on the back. There's the same train with the 8F on the front and a 4F down the back. The train is then assisted or banked up past Peak Forest Station, where it then stops to allow the 4F to uncouple and return to the quarry for further duties. Now, that's what I was talking about with the coupling up. If they weren't coupled, the train would just carry on once it got to the peak, once it got over the top of the hill. And we do have a 4F there at a signal box. Looks like chair-based rail to me. That's new. The 8F then descends down the rest of the route past Chinley and beyond. You would have seen this process regularly across the line. If a train exceeded the maximum load, they would have required banking across this section of the route. When creating these services, there are a lot of dependencies on both the mainline freight and shunting services to allow for efficient running of the two. This took a bit of trial and error to get right, but we're happy with how it's turned out. There are many banking services included in the route timetable, as well as a scenario breaking the bank, which includes it too. And if banking hasn't whetted your appetite enough, here's a short breakdown of the playable services included in the timetable. Local stopping and express passenger services with the Jubilee and Mark 1s. Limestone quarry shunting and banking with the 8F, 4F and ICI hoppers. Yard shunting services with the 4F and various freight wagons. Local freight with the 8F and various freight wagons. Night loco services including all locomotives. With release, there will be 110 playable services and approximately 140 AI services covering the variety of operations above. With this release, we've focused on a variety of gameplay options, which we hope will provide a more diverse experience. I actually hope it's not too busy, because, it's the 50s, it shouldn't be. You can watch the live stream previewing Peak Forest this Thursday, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. With Jamie and Matt on our YouTube and Twitch channels. See you there. Thameslink 700/0. Not much new to report in the Class 700, but here's a picture of the interior of the cab for you to wet your whistles with. I'm looking forward to this one because it's a centre drive train. You're not stuck in a little box on the side. So this looks good. Core improvements. Progress summary on the core improvements the teams are working on. This month we have Quick Add-ons Manager Update, HST Livery Designer Functionality, Peninsula Corridor Baby Bullet Services, and Train Sim World 2 Preservation Crew improvements. Add-ons Manager. We're currently testing Xbox Add-ons Manager. We've been experiencing crashing issues with the current build, so our engineering team will be taking another look at it. Once Xbox is out, we will turn our attention to PC platforms. HST Livery Designer Compatibility. Whilst we weren't able to bring this to you with the Midland Mainline, we believe this should be released in a patch later this month. Peninsula Corridor and Oakville Corridor Baby Bullet Services. Nothing to report from last month's roadmap, but as soon as one of our UI team become available, we'll investigate. Train Sim World 2 Preservation Crew releases. Nothing further on this one from last month. To reiterate, we're committed to bring this to you, and are hoping the window of time we have now will help us to get this out. Patches from the last month. Here's a quick summary of the contents of the patches released past month you may have missed. 4th of April. Post-release patch, US content, Northeast Corridor, New York Trenton, and Amtrak Acela. Various improvements to the Access ATC, tutorial improvements, overhead line equipment improvements, passenger improvements, and much more. There was the Train Sim World 2023 Easter event, which you can go look at. 17th of April, additional safety systems patch for New York Trenton. Upcoming patches. We've added to the roadmap a post-release improvement patches to Loco add-on bundle 2, including new scenario to Railbow and enhancement on Cahoon Pass timetable for the SD70 ACE, Link Rheinstrecker, Niddeltaban, Bremen Oldenburg. Third-party developer update. Updates from some of our partner program developers. This month we have an update from Skyhook Games after Midland Mainline's release, and from the team at Just Trains. Skyhook. After the release of Midland Mainline, the Skyhook team are reviewing your feedback from the content. Jane, their CTO, Chief Technical Officer, has started a thread providing an introduction as well as sharing updates on post-release patch progress. And it's linked there in the roadmap. Here's a quick summary of their areas of focus. These are not all confirmed, but areas Skyhook are investigating. Expanding the timetable per community feedback. Whole new freight services added to the route. Major route resignaling to address issues and enhance realism. Numerous environment fixes and updates. Station updates to add additional realism. Multiple bridges remodeled from scratch to reflect their real-world counterparts. City updates to add in more bespoke buildings, the Velodrome, Pride Park, and many other new points of interest. Significant functionality updates to the Glass 158, multiple performance updates, re-adding the removed freight service and the RHTT SEHS service, Southeastern High Speed, addressed the issue where NPCs get stuck in the doorway. Well, that's good because you can't actually get out of the cab when that happens. Well, you jump through the front door, I suppose. Updating the vehicle coupling and logic, addressing issues with the HST set, including system functionality and unit numbers. We will have more information for you on these when these improvements are completed and ready for release. Just Trains. Many of you know that Just Trains have a proven pun alert track record with our very detailed, accurate, high quality and great looking routes for Train Simulator Classic, and those same qualities are coming brilliantly alive with our first route for Train Sim World. The Just Trains team are working very hard and are solely dedicated on this, our first route for this platform, another pun. Building any route has many individual elements that need to be brought together, but to recap, so far we've completed 26 miles of scenery with around 20 miles left to go, so we're pleased to say our project is over half complete. Our environment artists are busy bringing the virtual world to life, and our team of asset builders are currently creating superb realistic looking assets such as signal boxes, distinctive buildings, churches, as well as many stations ranging from a simple platform to the end of route termini that you'll all be able to stop at when driving the route. Progress on the train that will be coming along with the route is coming along at a pace and is looking excellent. All of this will ensure that your driving experience has the correct look and feel and provide you with a great sense of immersion. Roadmap, we've talked about the next release, we've talked about what's in development, we've talked about what's in planning, so we can probably skip the last little bit. Alrighty, thanks for watching, folks. I hope this has been useful. Pop any questions down below as usual, and I will attempt to answer them within the scope of my NDA. Anyway, have fun, folks. See you later, and see you in the next video. Bye now.